What's up everyone, it's Rude Dinosaur, and welcome to Wowhead Recap. We haven't had a video for a couple of days because, well, there just hasn't been a whole lot of news over the past couple days. However, there are some big updates coming out, so let's get into it. First one's right here on the screen. Shadowlands pre-patch expansion arrives on October 13th. And we've already covered this in a previous video. That is this Tuesday in North America. However, they have made some changes because there were a lot of things going away in pre-patch, and now they're giving some of those things back due to Shadowlands launching so late, I'm pretty sure. So, mark your calendars. Here's some of the news right here. Drop rates of Mythic Raid Boss mounts won't be reduced until Shadowlands, so there's still time to collect them. That is pretty big news, so if you don't know, there was a whole list of things going away with Shadowlands. I'm sorry, with the pre-patch and with Shadowlands. However, and one of those things was the guaranteed 2 mount drops on the final boss of Mythic. However, they appear to be giving that back to us now. Feel free to refer to the Time Run Short article for all the details about what's going away and what's going to be more difficult to obtain in the pre-expansion patch and in Shadowlands. Before you journey into Shadowlands, you may want to spend your remaining moment in the mortal realm seeking out a few rewards that will no longer be obtainable, or will be more difficult to acquire in the next expansion. Let's go ahead and check out this article right now to see all of the updates that are going through at worldofwarcraft.com. So, on the update for August 18th, the achievement Phenomenal Cosmic Power will no longer be obtainable once pre-patch goes live. This is due to rank 4 essences no longer being available to earn after pre-patch, like Vision of Perfection. That's the only big update, so let's just focus on what's going away with Shadowlands pre-patch. Prestige achievement, Battle for Azeroth Keystone Master Season 4, and its reward, Awakened Mindborer mount, will only be available to earn prior to the release of Shadowlands, so that mount, that achievement, is going away. If you still need your plus 15s done, you only have until Tuesday to get those done, and then the title and the mount goes away forever. And if you're unsure of your current progress, you can see which keystones you have completed by checking your progress in the Mythic Keystones section in the group finder. So you press I, you click on Mythic Keystones, and down at the bottom, it'll show you all of the dungeons you've done and the highest you've completed them on, so you know which dungeons you have to target. This one is still going away, okay? The 5 million gold Brutosaur is going away with pre-patch. Just like the real dinosaurs that once walked around Earth, the mighty caravan Brutosaur's days in Azeroth are numbered. Once the Shadowlands pre-patch goes live, the shady vendors, Tolutu and Tricky Nick, will cease selling it. The mighty caravan Brutosaur will be then trek from its Battle of Azeroth vendors to the Black Market Auction House, where it can show up occasionally as a purchasable mount for players to bid on. And they're keeping the feat of strength. You definitely, if you have a means to get the 5 million gold, I would go ahead and say that if this is a mount that you want, if you don't know why the reason that the Brutosaur is so good, is it has a auction house on it at all times. So wherever you are, say you're at the start of a dungeon, you forgot something, someone in your party forgot something, somebody can just hop on that mount, lay down a mailbox, you can buy whatever you want to. But the reason I was saying that you should probably purchase it ahead of time is that things on the black market auction house generally go for higher prices, so once this goes to the black market, it'll probably be even more than the current 5 million gold that it is. This is the big one that everybody should know about by now. Corruption is cleansed. The Black Empire, returning to ash, the old god's power of corruption will wither away once Shadowlands pre-patch goes live. I'm not going to read through all of these, however, that's a big one, so all of the, as we said before, all of the basic class design changes are going through with pre-patch, and in order to get a good feel of how that is, they're also taking away corruption. Utter Madness, one of the challenging achievements in Vision of the Zoth Mad World, will no longer be acquirable once pre-patch goes live. That is the one for doing everything in your 5 mass vision runs, doing a 5 mass clear in both, a full clear in both, getting up your skill tree. PvP seasons will go away. Top of the Clash, just as with previous raids at the end of an expansion, the ahead of the curve and cutting edge achievements are going away. And that's probably a good thing. I have to imagine, like, N'Zoth and all that is going to be much harder to kill without corruption anyway, in my opinion. So, Hertz Locker is also going away. And all rank 4 essences and the achievements that go with them are going away. Next up, we kind of already covered this, but BFA Season 4 is ending on Tuesday, October 13th. Weekly maintenance next week will include the Shadowlands pre-patch, and that means the end of Battle for Azeroth PvP Season 4 and the beginning of the postseason. While placements on the season ladder will be locked for any end-of-season rewards such as Gladiator Mount or Title, you can continue to earn Conquest towards the Conquest schedule. Gain random PvP loot, and collect catch-up gear rewarded from the strong boxes. You can also purchase corrupted aspirant gear from vendors located in Stormwind and Orgrimmar. If you participated in Season 4 to ensure you receive the rewards that you're due, please refrain from transferring your characters to another realm or faction until BFA Season 4 has ended, just to make sure you get your reward titles. Expect that BFA Season 4 titles and mounts will be rewarded approximately 2 weeks after the season ends. Note that PvP leaderboards will not be available until the start of the new Shadowlands PvP season. The new Shadowlands Season 1 will begin shortly after the launch of Shadowlands, which of course is TBD. And finally, we have the development update for October. As we continue to work towards making Shadowlands worth the wait, we have an update on several changes and improvements players can expect to see coming to the beta over the next few weeks. The Maw. The Maw is intended to be a desolate and brutal domain of the Jailer, and not a place any soul in the Warcraft cosmos ever hopes to visit. But this is, after all, a video game, and telling that story can't come at the expense of creating a fun environment for adventurers. We've heard feedback that this content is currently falling short of that mark, and we agree. We're working to increase visual distinction and combat gameplay variety across the different areas of the Maw, as well as exploring, adding new localized events and world interactions. We also want to give players who journey to the Maw a bit more direction, while still preserving the sandbox route of the Maw gameplay. Players will venture into the Maw weekly to rescue souls and aid in restoring their covenants. And the mysterious broker, Venari, offers a range of cosmetic, convenience, and power rewards in exchange for Stygia. Those goals need to be more immediately apparent early on. We'll share more info about specific updates when these changes are ready for beta testing and feedback. So if you don't know, essentially the Maw is like, it's the weekly area we're going to be going to get this Stygia. It's for your covenants, but it's also for whatever convenience rewards are, power rewards, cosmetic. So they're just trying to make it a little bit more fun, and you know what? I'm always down for that. Whenever we're going to have a couple year-long grind in one area, whenever they want to try to make it more fun, everybody should always be down for that. Conduit's one of the big topics of discussion. We've also received a lot of feedback about the Conduit system. Many of you expressed concerns that the current system will unreasonably limit experimentation and multi-spec gameplay early in the expansion. While the existing weekly cooldown may provide sufficient flexibility once players have all 3 soulbinds fully unlocked, we agree that it is initially too limiting. A singly weekly reset also fails to draw any distinction between someone who only wants to adjust a single conduit and someone who wants to clear and rebuild their entire soulbind tree. In an upcoming build, we will be replacing the weekly cooldown on changing conduits with a more flexible system. When first unlocked, the Forge of Bonds will be charged with 10 conduit energy, and placing a conduit into a socket will consume a single charge. Conduit energy recharges at the rate of once per day, up to a cap of 10, and adding a new conduit to your collection immediately restores 1 conduit energy as well. So, we'll read through the rest of it. Our goal with the change is to ensure that, especially when players are acquiring new conduits and only have access to a small number of soul binds and conduit slots, all players feel free to try out the new upgrades and adjust their soul binds to support multiple specializations or activities. After the initial collection period for a given character, 7+ swaps per week should allow for more adaptation to suit specific roles or activities, while still requiring thoughtful decisions about how to customize each soulbind for your playstyle preference. Now, conduits are something that the players and the developers, it's been going like this, right, the entire time. It's been going up, down, up, down, up, down. So this one, now they're saying that each time you want to replace a conduit, essentially you can replace 10 at the start, and then you get a free change whenever you add a new conduit in. Which again, if you remember the last video, the conduits now kind of act like essences, whereas like you don't have to keep a whole bunch in your bags anymore, they just become selectable. But then you can change 7 per week, and with the previous thing, I don't know if this cancels out the previous one where they said that each spec, when you swap into your new spec, it changes your soulbind tree to accommodate that spec. They seem to be really trying to find a happy medium on this, to where players are able to swap stuff out, but they really just don't want to snap the fingers and give us full control of it. And to be honest with you, I'm still not 100% sure why. This is the first time in an expansion where we haven't had full control over what we do. Imagine only being able to swap out your essences once per day. I mean, we're getting to a better spot, but I still think there's some work that needs to be done. But when the update finally goes through, we'll see how it is. Because the reality of the situation is, unless they're balancing, we all know, we've been wearing the same essences forever, the same talents on our BFA gear. So once we find what the good ones are, I don't think this will be that big of a deal at this point, because, I mean, you don't really change it up. However, it will still be more of a problem for people that want a PvP, Mythic Plus, and Raid, because those are the only times we swapped out our essences, right? And lastly, class and Covenant balance. Tuning has been underway over the past couple of weeks, but much more remains. Our initial tuning efforts have focused on Covenant class abilities that were outliers on either end of the spectrum, including substantial redesigns where necessary. The coming weeks will see continued iterations on these abilities, as well as soulbinds that complete them. Balance in this area means pursuing a mix of offsetting strengths and weaknesses rather than identical capabilities, and our goal in this process is that every class Covenant combination should have something to commend it. Alongside these specific areas of focus, we are all using this time to tune various endgame rewards, fix bugs, thousands of which continue to come in from the in-game bug report tool. Thank you all to all of the testers for getting these bugs into them so that we can play a good game when it goes live. And add the finishing touches that will hopefully make your journey into Shadowlands a magical one when the time comes. So, nothing really surprising there except for the conduits part on this developer update. Pretty much just saying they're continuously tuning all of the soulbinds, all of the covenants, trying to make them, they want them to be even so that your meaningful choice feels good no matter which covenant you decide to make. Still, what they neglect to remember is that even if it's a 1% power difference, players are still going to chase that 1%. And not just people at the top end. It's people everywhere. What the people do at the top end rolls downhill. So they look at all of the top teams and whatever they're playing, the people on the lower end of the spectrum, even if they're only doing +10s, they still want to continue to use the same things that the top people are using. So we're still in this fight with them about covenants, but you know what? We've got even more time before the expansion releases now. And as I said before, like they seem to be cooperating with us and taking our feedback to heart. So there's still time. Anyway, that's this edition of Wowhead Recap. Hope you guys all have a good day, and I'll be releasing another video soon. Have a good one.